Hey guys, so I have a quick story time for y'all. As you know, well, I'm not in undergrad anymore, but I go to college in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi to be exact. It's not one of the safest places in the world. Jackson is pretty rough. So I'm on the tennis team here in Jackson at my school. So I have a lot of foreign teammates. I have teammates from Germany, teammates from India, teammates from Brazil, from everywhere. So I'm like literally the only American. So, you know, they have a little bit of a culture shock when they do come to America, and you know, things are a little different. So, one night, I think this was like my sophomore or junior year, we wanted to go out to dinner and eat. So my friend from Germany, she had like a white Nissan Altima, and she had left it. The thing about my school is like at night you need to really park it in like the parking lot that's over by the security booth, and like where a lot of people are. You don't like leave it parked over in the back alleyway like during the day. Like she left it there. So we were walking to the car and we just keep walking. I'm like, man, where did you park? Like we were walking like across the campus. Like, why didn't you just park it outside the door? I'm like, she's like, oh, I didn't want to move it, and there was like no parking spaces earlier. Yeah. And this is my teammate from Germany. Keep in mind, she's from like a really small village, as she would say. So we were walking to the car, and it was just me, my teammate from India, and my teammate from Germany. So my teammate from India and I were talking, and my teammate from Germany, obviously she knew where the car was, so she was kind of a little bit ahead of us, and she was walking really fast, trying to get to the car. And then all of a sudden, like I was not really paying attention. I was talking to the teammate from India, and we were just talking, laughing, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, my teammate from Germany yells out, and she's like, hi! And she starts running like down the hill, and I'm like, where is this girl going? I look ahead, I see the car, and I see two guys standing by the car. And I'm like, oh my god. And it's really dark down there already. It's like 8 o'clock at night. So I'm like, oh gosh. So I just take off running behind her because I'm like, no, like you don't do that here in the hood. You don't do that. You don't. That's just something you don't do. So I take off running behind her, and I'm like, Julia, come back. I'm like, bring them back. Come back here. And she's just running like, hi. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, I've never seen her run that fast in my life. Like, I'm like the fastest person on our team, and she took off running, and I was like, what in the world? Like, I had to chase her down. We got closer to the car as we were running towards them. The guys kind of started walking fast away, like towards there's like a fence behind, so they start walking away towards the fence. And then she gets to the car, she comes around onto the driver's side, and she sees that there's glass on the floor, the window is broken, and they had broke the window basically, just like to break it to the car, and they start walking away. So she just instantly, she's like, because it was her boyfriend's car and he was away for the weekend, and she had the car, and she just immediately started crying. She was like, oh. And I was like, man, calm down, it's okay. And then my teammate from India, I don't know, I'm 5'3.5". That girl is 5'1", and she is just tiny. So she's like 5'1", literally. She's just the tiniest little thing. So she's just like, she sees what happens, and she starts running after the guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl too. Like, these people don't understand. It's not like y'all small little villages here. You don't run after people. Like, oh my gosh. So she starts running after them, and I'm like, oh, stay here. Let me. I start running after her to get her, because I already know. Like, oh my goodness. And then I see, kind of from my peripheral, because they're kind of far down. She starts running after them. That boy pulls out a gun. I said, I was like, oh my god. I grabbed this girl. They start shooting. I counted. Like, for me, it's different, because like everything in my head, everything slows down in my head. So I count 4 shots. I'm like, 1, 2. We take off running, I tell you. And this girl from India, she decides, she's laughing. Like, I guess that's what she does when she gets nervous or whatever, or scared. She starts laughing. I'm like, this is not funny. These niggas, these men right here, or boys, whatever, I don't know what. And one of them had already jumped the fence. The other one's spraying, pop. And I'm like, oh my goodness. The first 4 shots I counted before we started, you know, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4. We kind of already were turning around and running. And the girl from my friend from Germany is crying and running. She's like, ah! where do we go? Back, oh my God, where do we go? And I'm like, just keep running, run behind the building, kind of, you know, swerve, do something. Don't just stand there. Girl from India is behind us. And I don't know what she was thinking. Like, that was just too funny for me. Like, after the fact, obviously it's funny. I wasn't laughing when it happened. So she's behind us, and then she bends down, wants to fix her shoe. I'm like, forget the shoe, girl. You don't keep running. always something else. So we run behind the building. We run onto the plaza, which is like the common area where everyone's kind of like hanging out, because she, for some reason, parked all the way in the back where there's no people, no nothing. Campus security came and was like, oh, what happened? She was like, oh my God, they're shooting at us. And they're like, okay, sit down. And keep in mind, these people are not really from here, so they don't really understand. The police officer should have known better too. He told her to sit down on a fraternity bench, a fraternity plot. And I'm like, looking around like, no, we don't need, there's a whole bench right here that we can sit on that's perfectly free. We don't need to sit on. You don't need to sit down on the fraternity bench. And it was the Alpha Psi Alpha. It was the Alpha fraternity bench. The Alpha fraternity bench. And just so happened also that there was an Alpha outside one of the dorm rooms waiting for his girlfriend to come outside. And so he's looking like, why is that white girl sitting in our plot? And so he walks over and is like, is everything okay? And then the security officer kind of just explains everything. He's like, oh yeah, they're blah blah blah. And I'm just standing there like, I'm not sitting on the bench. Like, tried to tell her to get up. But he was like, oh, okay, cool. And then he leaves. And she's just sitting there crying. And she's like, oh, in my village, people aren't like that. And I'm like, yes, your village, this is not a village. There's probably not that many people in the village. You don't have crime like this in the village at all. Woo! It was another thing. So that was my story when I got shot at because of my silly teammates. But it's all good now. It's something to laugh at. But like, comment, subscribe, share. I want to know the funniest, craziest things that's ever happened to you, scariest things ever happened to y'all. So follow, watch our previous videos, watch our other story times, watch our other things, comment, like, subscribe. Kim Liller.